Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CCG podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about speedruns. I'm going to be introducing everyone. It's bugged up again, where everyone is. But anyway, we have it's bugged up again. The camera's moved while we're talking. Just give me a minute. Well, anyway, we've got Glitch Guy again. We also have Nexus Dragon or Miguel, and then we have a very special guest, Ramsey. Just give me a sec to line up your camera because it's so janky, this stuff. I swear to God. No, I'm not doing this again. This is yeah. Yeah. So, Ramsey, who's Sand Shark. I'm saying that right? Yeah. Do you want to kind of talk about what you do a little bit, like what kind of streaming content or YouTube content you do?
For the event. So I was behind the microphone reading donations with over 100,000 people listening to me, and that was a very wild experience. So from there, it's just, I've just been sticking with, the games that I like playing, and the communities, which are really nice. And I'm just going to keep going with it for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks.
Hold on. We're having a bit of sound issues there. I apologize, Sandshark. The audio was Ramsey, the the audio was kind of a bit bad there when not on your end.
Repeating everything you just said. No.
No, don't look. I'm a little bit sad about that because that was a great introduction.
I can repeat myself. I could do a TLDR.
Yeah. I think that might be
okay.
Yeah.
But is the audio all fixed now?
Yeah, just check and make sure it's all good. I'm making sure that I'm not using anything.
It sounded great to me.
That. Yeah, it sounded awesome, man.
All right. Well, look,
Twitch.
Yeah, look, I work in IT, so I can also be your tech support while I'm here.
Yeah, well, it's always that one thing you forget, right? Like, I was messing around with everything else and like, oh, it's all good. Everything looks good. I'm not thinking about sound. So it should be all good now.
All right, we're all good. Okay. So for those who didn't catch all of it, TLDR, I've been on the internet basically since I was 12. I have my YouTube account that I still have when I created when I was 12. My interests always ebbed and flowed a lot, but I was always interested in getting, high scores and fast times in time attack games. in around 2014-15 is when I first heard about speedrunning. And from there, I took a real interest in 2017 and thought, you know what, this looks like fun. I can run a game. Picked a game I liked called Super Meat Boy. As you can tell, I like the game. I'm wearing the shirt. I've got a plushie there. And from there, it's kind of cascaded into a bunch of awesome opportunities, not including but not limited to opening Australian Speedrun Marathon in 2018. Also, I got to present at GammaCon all the way in 2018, which was a lot of fun. Also, been involved in a handful more marathons as a runner and as a volunteer. Also, just past year, we did a speedrun station at Oz Comic Con pop up in March 2021. That was a lot of fun. A few speedrun nights out on the Sydney gaming bar near where I live. And more recently, I was very fortunate enough to be selected as a host for the most recent Awesome Games Done Quick 2022. And it's been a lot of fun, great journey so far, and I'm intending to stay on it for as long as I can.
Alrighty,
Yeah, awesome, man.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I guess well, with the wonderful, we've got a great guest for this. So I kind of want to talk about, let's assume that people don't know much about speedruns, right? So I think most people do, but we'll just go over what speedrunning kind of is. Do you kind of want to explain that a bit, Ramsey, and like the different genres of speedrunning as well?
I'd be more than welcome to. So the speed run is basically completing a game with the intention of completing it as quick as possible. Normally, it covers a whole game, but it could also refer to a particular level or a particular section, or it could be like a joke category. But that's the long and short of it. In terms of genres, it's more like categories is the word we use. So like in the Olympics, you don't just have the 10-kilometer run or 10,000 meter run. You have the 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter. Very similar in speedrunning, where the same game will have multiple different categories with different, I guess, metrics of completion. So a couple of definitions, for example, the most common are any percent, which is complete the game with any amount of percent on the, I guess, completion thing. So just get to the end and trigger the credits, basically, that's what that means. 100% means to get absolutely everything. So if you're thinking about a game like Banjo-Kazooie, get every Jiggy, you find every Jinjo, defeat all the bosses, find every jigsaw piece, that sort of thing. There are also different shorter categories that might not do 100%, but have more levels than any percent. But there are it varies a lot game to game. So the long and short of it is still the same kind of goal: complete this as fast as possible, but there are often different metrics and leaderboards that people compete upon.
Alrighty.
Yeah, every game has
Yeah,
its own
awesome.
community, which makes there's categories. You get like glitchless runs and all sorts of things.
Yeah. So now we've kind of gone over that. I'm gonna pass it to you again one more time. I know I'm giving you a lot of the start, but what kind of speed runs do you like you've mentioned Super Meat Boy, but what kind of games and genres do you kind of specialize in?
So I'm a huge fan of platforming games, both 2D and 3D. So when I say 3D platformer, stuff like I think Jak 2, Jak 3 are some of my favorite ones back there. But mainly my favorite genre is 2D platformers. So huge fan of the original Mario Bros. And just growing up, I've just always gravitated towards those sorts of games. But in terms of games I speedrun now, as well as the original Super Meat Boy, I speedrun its sequel, Super Meat Boy Forever. And the more niche game that I speedrun is called Blast Corps, and that was released by Rare back in 1997. And that's completely different to like the general genre that I make, but it's a game that just is a huge cornerstone in my childhood growing up. And I've just thought, you know what, why not learn how to speedrun this game? So those are the main three I do. I will also say I am a world record holder in 3D Frog Frenzy all levels. I am one of three people on the leaderboard that run it. Also a game I played in my childhood, and we found the one other person on the internet that actually knows of the game as well. So it is barely a speed game. It barely passes. There's a lot of RNG. I mean, obviously you need to know what you're doing and stuff. A lot of luck, but it's just like, you know what, this is fun. I'm gonna run it, and I can say I'm the world record holder. So there you go.
Is it?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is it?
How long did you take you to get the world record?
Not long. It was only three of us on the leaderboard, so I'd say about a solid few, like scattered here and there, a few afternoons of attempts over a couple weeks, I think. The timer I have right now could be very more optimized, but there's a few levels in there that are absolutely punishing, unfair, full of luck. So I'm just happy to keep that title for the moment. And if someone takes it, I'll probably try and take it back.
I'm gonna
All right, I'm gonna try to take it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and
Go ahead. It's a free game.
Competition.
I'll link you to the Discord afterwards. Get into
yeah.
Yeah,
it.
good.
I think I've got it up on stream. Is it
Is it
is-
a platformer?
is it like you're behind the person, third person, and you kind of like, am I showing the right game? Is this
I don't-
it?
I can't tell if you are or not.
What was it? 3D Frog.
3D Frog Frenzy.
Yeah.
3D Frog.
Yeah, I
Frenzy.
just looked up 3D Frog Frenzy, and there's like a speed run on here. PC 1999.
Can't say I've heard of that person. I think it might be the wrong game.
But that's just when.
Does that look
game
like
came
the
out.
game, but or I'm not
Let me,
sure.
I gotta look at the link.
Yeah,
sorry.
I want you to because this game looks
Yeah.
cool as fuck. This.
It's probably not the game, but I'll have a look at it anyway.
yeah.
Let's
Well,
see
just
what
in
we
the
got.
meantime, I guess I think a good thing to talk about would be sort of our own interests in speedrunning and sort of why we want to talk about it today. Because yeah, certainly I myself have a level of interest in speedrunning. I don't speedrun any categories myself, but I have some ideas of ones that I might like to do in the future. I'm more of a completionist sort of gamer, so if I was going to get into speedrunning, I would very likely be in the Pokemon scene. So because I've got a couple of pretty sweet goals in terms of that. I've always been a massive Pokemon fan, and so I have a similar mindset of you in the sense of, well, I'd love to be able to just smash through it as quick as possible, and try to get better and better and better at it as well. Try to understand as much as I can of the game. So yeah.
Yeah. But with me, it's very similar to Sand Shark. Is I started just leaderboard climbing on everything, and like just climbing leaderboards. I don't care if it was high score or fastest time, anything. I just like to get as high on the leaderboards as I could in as many categories. But then when I started watching like AGDQ and SGDQ, I just thought speedrunning is awesome. My biggest problem was staying focused on a single game, because I would just every week I'd switch to a new game, so I'd never fully learn a route or anything like that. Probably the ones I did best at were like Halo 2 and the original Doom games. I love the original Doom games.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine was just for fun. I wasn't really trying to be the best in the world. It was just see how far I can get it or how far I could push the game.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Awesome.
It's good. Yeah, I definitely understand like wanting to always jump games and losing interest. Like I think that is also can be a real burnout's real. Is you have to find ways to kind of manage it. But if you're looking for, I guess, a bit further, I guess, perspective on kind of getting into it, it's great that you both have games that you absolutely love that you think I might want to speedrun, because that's the first thing you need to remember. You're going to be playing this game a lot from start to finish. So if you're going to speedrun a game, that you love and are happy, happy to keep improving it and keep repeating yourself. And it also helps that Pokemon and Halo both have pretty large franchises, and they have dedicated speedrun communities behind them. I think there's a whole Discord dedicated exclusively to Pokemon speedrunning that covers basically the whole franchise. I think the community really is your friend here, because there are already a lot of resources out there on a lot of, especially the popular franchises, on optimizing movement, routing, tricks to do, ways you can practice, that sort of thing. And some will even have dedicated tools that you can use in the game to like get to certain points and like reset, that sort of thing. I'm not too sure specifically, but especially with Pokemon, I think there are things out there. The one thing also to remember with this sort of stuff is, I guess, the barrier to entry. So depending on what Pokemon game you're looking at, if you're looking to get into an older version that's on like older hardware, you need to think about capture cards. You also need to think about technicality in terms of how actually technical it is to run. I mean, obviously you'll start from the small and then build your way up, but some runs can be unbelievably broken. So if you're not comfortable with doing that completely and doing memory storage and manipulation and all that stuff like I've seen in the past, maybe pick a category it's a bit more conventional, relies a bit more on, I guess, your skill and stuff you've memorized, that sort of thing. For Halo, the one thing that I do know about first-person shooter speedruns, that unless there's a complete big glitch, movement is everything. You need to absolutely master your movement to optimize, I guess, your speed across the map. So again, I'm not too sure specifically in Halo what the tricks are.
There's a lot of spawn memorizing and like knowing where the guns are that you got to pick up and how much ammo you can spend in certain areas. But yeah, I've done full runs of every game. It's just being an hour behind world record type thing. Just never committed to getting my time down. So I've learned all the runs.
Well, that's good. That's a good start. You already got a head start.
Yeah.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, one cool thing that I could bring up is this sort of shows my love for the older games.
Oh wow.
Having a pretty sweet Pokemon GBA.
Oh,
I bought
nice.
this just last year, so unfortunately, it's not like one of the original ones that I had when I was a kid, but I do have nearly all of the Pokemon games from Gen 1 to Gen 4. And so essentially my ultimate goal is to be able to collect all of the games over the different generations and complete all of them 100%. And so like that'd sort of be my own personal entry into getting into speedrunning, sort of being like, this is my ultimate achievement. I've been able to actually get all of the Pokemon, and I know that it's going to be a ridiculously hard thing just because of, Gen 1, Gen 2 games. They are so old. A lot of the time, like there's Pokemon on there that you just can't get anymore unless you can get them from another player. So I know that there's going to be a lot of challenges with that. But in terms of speedrunning, like I've always had a thing for Gen 3. So like, I've got Pokemon Ruby in there at the moment. And so I think that would probably be where I start into speedrunning for Pokemon. And I know that it's a hard challenge because I've spent thousands and thousands of hours in those games, and like just a run by itself can easily be like 4 hours, and that's without like any manipulations or anything like that. So I like trying to do that and perfect that over and over and over. Like you said, there's so much information, and yeah, you definitely need a community to get into, and it's so awesome to be able to see how this community has developed over time. Because yeah, like you said, Pokemon is a massive community, and the speedrunning scene for it is always up. You see it pretty much every GDQ. They're always doing Pokemon games from all the different genres, and yeah, they're really successful. And I totally love it.
All right, I just want to jump in here, and I want to talk about kind of the growth. So I think speedrunning probably about 10 years ago, not many people were into it. So I want to ask, because I think, I don't know about you, Miguel, but I know Bernie and Ramsey probably were on it like before a lot of people were. Like, speedrunning, I think it was probably the last 5 years it started to become big, and then Games Done Quick kind of, 10 years, we'll say 7 years, but then it just started out of nowhere, just boom, everyone's like into speedrunning. What was it like seeing that kind of change, and like your perspective on it, like saying, there's been a lot of people watching all of a sudden out of nowhere. How does it, how did it feel going that way?
It's always great when a community grows, because I do remember, I think it was 2012, watching AGDQ, and they're just a few friends sitting on a couch. There's like no crowd in the background. There's like nothing going on. And then by 2015, they were renting out venues and they had crowds, and yeah, it exploded ridiculously quick. And I think it's mostly to do with games like Mario and like a lot of the old Nintendo 64 games. Yeah. What about you, Ramsey?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I might actually preface this by going into my understanding of, I guess, the history of speedrunning. So I think it was Doom that, like, back in the 1990s, where you can kind of compare your, I guess it really saved your time, showed your times, and there's like dedicated communities online about that. And I think early on it was Speed Demos Archive, and I think that's where Games Done Quick. That's where Games Done Quick was kind of born out of, and it was just a thing with friends, and the operator, Mike Uama, had to actually get all of his friends ferried over to his mom's basement because the internet connection at the convention was actually worse. So they started in his mom's basement, or his mom's house, and from there it just, people were enjoying it. People are, from an outsider looking in, speedrunning is just, a lot of people in the gaming community, everyone has a different way of playing games, but for the casual player, they play a game at their own pace as they will, and that's totally fine. And then when they go and see a speedrun, they're like, what am I watching? This part took me like hours, days, even weeks to beat. This person's just blitzing through it in a matter of minutes or seconds. I think that wow factor kind of sucks a lot of people in. And I think with the, I guess, explosiveness and the advent of, I guess, more people using Twitch and YouTube and getting into that side of gaming and more online, I guess, community applications opening, like even Discord only really started becoming a thing like big in 2016, 2017 as well. And that allowed us to foster, I guess, more tight knit communities with an actual good messaging system instead of, old school forums and whatnot.
Yeah.
So games done quick, yeah, it just took a lot of people's interest, and the people just, the guys behind it just kept working hard and figure out ways they can make it bigger to the point where they actually registered as a registered company, I think back in 2015, 16. So there's a couple people behind there who that's their full-time thing. They look after all the stuff related to the games done quick because it just, so for me, it's been very, I guess, in a way, heartwarming to see that people take interest in the games that, I guess, you also have interest in, and to find such a niche in the games that you love, and even further, seeing the games you love being absolutely destroyed and think, hey, I thought I was the only one who liked this, or hey, I thought I was, the only one having problems with this, or hey, I wasn't, all that kind of stuff, and to see a absolute destroyed and see a group of people who are passionate behind, I guess, pulling the game apart and then putting it back together to put together an awesome showcase. I think that's really heartwarming, and to see everyone like enjoying it and getting involved is just, it's great. And I just think, games aren't going to stop being made probably until the world explodes. So there's always going to be a dedicated group of people behind any game that comes out. Be like, all right, how can we do this more quickly? So yeah, that's my insight there.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Do you know anyone personally who came from the days where, like, the way they got the footage, there was no YouTube, there was no like, you would find like the website you're talking about, like, they'd have that, but they would have to put the footage on through like a VHS and shit, and not VHS. I'm not sure if it was DVD or, but I know.
It would be a recording of their screen with a camera, and they'd submit it somewhere.
Yeah, I think that
back
they would
then
connect the
they didn't
computer
have
like.
streams, did they? Like in the beginning?
No, they didn't have streams, but essentially what you would be able to do is like Glitchy said, you'd be able to essentially capture footage with a camera of some sort, or even just like take a snapshot image of it, and then you'd be able to transfer that to your computer by plugging in your camera to your computer, and then just finding somewhere to upload that. And yeah, dude, I can totally understand there would have been a lot of difficulty in doing that, and it makes sense why the community was so small too, because nowadays if you want to be able to communicate with someone, it's just a click of a button, whereas 15 years ago none of that existed. Computers themselves were just still like in a rather infant stage, right? The internet itself the same. So I think that I don't know how it was done specifically, but that that's the only way I could really imagine them doing so.
I must say I don't really personally know anyone who has been around for, I guess, that long, and I only really got fully into it in 2017, late 2017, early 2018. So, but my earliest, when I actually started uploading, I uploaded a couple of videos of myself playing Blast Corps and the Nintendo 64 emulator back when I was 12. They are still on my YouTube channel. So by then people were uploading stuff to YouTube.
Yeah.
But before then, it's just, but people are dedicated. I think that's the only way to say it. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of barriers back in the day, but people love the game so much and are having so much, I guess, fun trying to find the quickest way to complete them and talking to other online friends about it, that nothing was really going to stop them at that point. I can't really go too further back into what actual methods were used. Probably what you mentioned about like recording playback on a FireWire cable, or I'm not sure if they were doing them back in the VHS days. But it is interesting to note that people are still using, because of the advent of technology, people are actually still using original hardware for games that are speedrun on the NES. I mean, heck, I've got this thing called a RetroTink. It's worth quite a bit of, it's not cheap, and I had it shipped from the US, and it's a little soldered circuit board within a casing. It's manufactured by this guy who's just wanted to make sure, get some lossless and like really minimal loss conversion between like composite to HDMI. And so the tools we have now make it easier than ever to get a retro console. I got like an N64 is what I use. to be displayed on your modern monitor without any loss of quality or delay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
pretty interesting. All the hardware
Mm.
kind of what's the word, rules as well with a lot of the not rules,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Mm.
like
Well, no,
uh,
some games do have certain rules that, so like you can't, or they have separate leaderboards if you use an emulator versus the original hardware and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Mm.
most definitely.
Yeah, that varies from community to community. Some
Yeah.
ones actually, like Mario, the original Super Mario Bros. Permitted emulators can actually share a leaderboard, because they just acknowledged that the NES is what it's like almost going to be 40 years old in 3 years. It's harder and harder to get a hold of, and electronics break. So
yeah,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't think you could exactly call up Nintendo and say, "Hey, can you fix my NES for me?" It'd be
Can
good.
you
I
even?
just want to,
Oh, they'd
keep
be
There's
playing.
like-
people
But
out there who can probably do it
Yeah.
themselves.
yeah, I'm sorry, get with the times. We don't do NES anymore, but you can what? You can buy a subscription to Nintendo Switch Online and play the NES on there.
Yeah. To
And like, but the emulation is garbage. Fix your service.
to be fair, they don't even fix their new stuff. To be honest, so
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Joy-Cons,
yeah. Well,
right?
I think that's a whole different conversation
Yeah, it's
of
a
its
whole
own.
other
you know?
kettle of fish. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think one thing I was just gonna say is that with speedrunning, it was sort of something I had like in my mind from quite early days because I was actually a Super Mario fan when I grew up. Like the two games that most influenced me were Pokemon and Super Mario. And so like I remember my earliest days, I would try to sort of like speedrun just based on my own knowledge, like how to play the game back on, the 64 and even the NES way back, and just try to like complete the levels as quick as I could, try to get through without dying. And at that time, I'm like maybe, 8 years old, 10 years old even. So like just trying to do it on my own, no chance at all. But over time, being able to see how the community is going, it's awesome because not only is it like that nostalgia factor for me where I can see these games that I grew up with and people like really pushing them to the limit and finding new ways to do things in those games, and then using strats that even I myself had figured out how to do in order to speedrun. That's something that really hits home for me because I'm like, I had to figure that out on my own. I didn't have anyone to tell me, oh, you could do it this way. I didn't play games with anyone else when I was young either. So like for Pokemon as an example, if I wanted to try to complete the Pokédex, I had to buy all the consoles and all the games, and I had to buy a link cable so that I could transfer between games. And then, like as a kid, right, that back in those days, it was so much money, right? Like people complain, oh, like a little Game Boy Advance, it costs like $150, $200. I remember it cost the exact same when they came out, like, and to think about how times have changed, it's crazy. And also, like how you can have such a collective of people who essentially did a lot of this by themselves find their ways together, and it's awesome, and I think it's only going to get better and better over time.
100%.
I would be interested to see if any of you, maybe you have Ramsey and maybe you Bernie, maybe you as well, Miguel, because like I've never really done speed running. I've always looked at it and it's always interested me as a viewer. Like I'll view it here and there. I love watching the Mario 64 speed runs. Like I love that. I love that.
I know, it's so good, isn't it?
I'm wondering if any of you guys have been involved in the process of coming up with the actual time cut, a new time cut, like an actual figuring out that, not seeing it, coming up with the concept, and then like implementing that into your speedrun. Have you guys been involved with that with like a community or yourself?
Not with how modern speedruns are, but I used to do it. So when Super Meat Boy first came out, so Ramsey loves Super Meat Boy, I did a lot of the individual level routing, like when it first came out with a group of people, and other games. But I forget what it's called. But there was another one where I was playing with the best speedrunners at it, and I was finding strats for them. And
Yeah,
they
wow.
were obviously better at the game than me. But yeah, I was Adventures of Shuggy, but it's not a very popular game. There were only like 100 or 200 people who were competitive on the leaderboards. But yeah, what about you, Ramsey?
So I think the latest example is so the sequel to Super Meat Boy Forever, came out at the end of 2020. And the cool thing about Super Meat Boy Forever is that it's a randomized game, so you get a seed at the beginning of each file that you make, and it's usually random. You can change it if you'd like, but each level in each world has a pool of between 70 to 100 chunks, and excluding the start and end ones, it pulls 5 chunks out of the pool of around 70 to 100 to make a level. So you could actually play the game fully through like 8 times and not see every single chunk the game has to offer. It's got over like 5,000 chunks. As a result, we have random seed runs and set seed runs. So set seed, obviously the geniuses behind there reverse engineered the formula for the seed and figured out like the quickest one. So that helps us to completely optimize it. But for random seed, what people have been doing is just posting clips of skips they have discovered in each chunk and put them in a Discord channel. And the amount of chunks that skips have been found in is incredible. Now, some of them are dev intended, like, you can do this way, or we've put a little route in here you can do. But a lot of these have been figured out, I guess, on the fly by people who are just kind of trying to think outside the box. And the funniest part was recently one of the developers of the game actually joined our speedrunning Discord server, and feels very in a comical way. He feels kind of split, that he absolutely loves the very creative and ingenious ways that we're finding all these skips, but the other half of him is just like, like, wow, he posted he posted an email like, you guys, you're absolutely destroying me, but in like a playful way. He's very grateful. He's very grateful for it. So, and I've actually found one where he's like, hey, you should find a skip in this world, which is like the hardest one. I'm sure that would be pretty cool. And I'm like, found one, and I posted a video, and he replied in all caps, "No, I wanted to put another soul there, but it would look too ugly if I did." So it was like a design aesthetic thing. So I was able to I was a narrow gap between 2 souls. By jumping through and not punching, you could actually save like 10 seconds. And he was just like, "No." So to this date, I mean, even today when I was still grinding through, like like not even 100%, like 700% completion of my save file, I found another couple skips. So it probably won't stop for Super Meat Boy Forever because there's just so many chunks. But that's the one that we're continually contributing to, because it's fun. Yeah.
That's a great the fact that there's a community for a game like that where it actually still has the speed run, obviously the speed run kind of community thing, but it's still like it feels almost like, it's literally going to be forever. Super Meat Boy Forever in the name. Yeah. That's awesome.
I was meaning to ask you about it earlier, actually, because I was wondering how it worked with the random seeds, because I've only played through the game the one time and all that. But with those developers, there's actually a YouTube series dedicated to that, where the developers of the game watch the world record speedrun and they just comment on how their game's getting broken. It's really, you should check it out sometime.
I have checked out a couple. Yeah, that's on, I think it's IGN, Dev Reacts to Speedrun.
I think I know the one.
I think Tommy, who's a head developer, did react to one of the other ones as well. But I think he's kind of used to it, because him also co-developer Super Meat Boy, he's seen that game just absolutely blitz through. So, but I guess on that point, I actually have a bit of a story to tell about, I guess, speedrunning Super Meat Boy Forever, and some of the really cool things that have kind of happened out of that. If I'm okay to,
go ahead. Yeah, 100%.
I was waiting for you to ask, but I figured, we're on the topic, so I'll bring it
up.
Perfect. Being from the original Super Meat Boy speedrunning community, I thought, you know what, I really want to give this a try when it comes out. Now, I will admit that I thought I'd be really on top of like getting to the top of the leaderboards, but the dedication of some other people that they had over the holidays was incredible. So those leaderboard times were absolutely blitzed through. But Summer Games Done Quick was coming up, and it had been a few months. The speedrun was pretty optimized, and I was speaking to one of the fellow leaderboard mods, and we're thinking, hey, maybe we should submit a race. So because people become like really good at the game, and the top times are pretty close to each other. So I got up at like 6 a.m. to meet everyone's time zones, and the other commentator was from America. One of the other guys was from Canada. The other guy was from Poland. 2 other guys from America. So it was just time zones all over the place. Got up at the crack of dawn, and I just recorded the video, and we submitted it. and didn't really think much of it. But lo and behold, I woke up and I kept refreshing the schedule page on the day of release, and the game was accepted as this race but at SGDQ 2021. But the craziest part about all this was Tommy Reffinis, who's the head developer of Super Meat Boy Forever. Someone linked him the schedule, and he was actually overjoyed. And I found that this retrospectively, and I'll tell you about that in a sec. But he was like over the moon. He was really happy that the game was there, and a lot of people would be checking it out and see it absolutely broken. He actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you're one of the commentators of the game. That's awesome." And not only did he say that, he kind of forgot about Games Done Quick until he saw that it was going to be run. And he was actually so happy and moved about that. He reached out to them that day and became a sponsor of the event. So as well as helping him out, that also involves a very large donation to the involved charity, which was Medicine Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders. So he said, you and the rest of the team have yourselves to thank for a very large donation to MSF. And that just warmed my heart so much. And what was even wilder than that was that he said, I also have some Meat Boy stuff here in my house. So send me your address. Feel free, and I'll happily send you and everyone involved the care package. I'm like, are you serious? I live in Australia, so shipment's probably going to cost you a bit, but if you really want to, go ahead. And lo and behold, again, a week before GDQ, I get a really nice package in the mail with a customs declaration of like $200 US. And
God.
two of the things I got the Super Meat Boy and Banner's Girl plush. I got a few Penny Arcade pins. I got a limited edition power-up Nintendo Switch controller with Super Meat Boy Forever on it, a vinyl figurine, and a very heartfelt letter from him, thanking us profusely. And that was myself and the 5 other people involved. So that's a pretty wild story. And I think it kind of loops into the fact that this is how much it means to these people to see that there's these people that love their games so much. And I think it's the way that things played out and how supportive how kind he was about it all, and the fact he was willing to send us a lot of stuff for writing the game. It was very, very humbling, and that's why I'm just I'm gonna be a Meat Boy forever, to be honest. Because good times, good times.
Was that a pun?
Yes.
Okay, I liked it. I liked it.
We can definitely see how much it means to you, even of course it's going to mean a lot for the developers, because they've spent so much time of their lives trying to create something that will bring joy to others, and then not only that, but being able to see the things that come out of it that themselves couldn't even imagine. I could only think about the way that they would feel, and it goes to show, because how much they want to support the community, and just out of nowhere, it's amazing. And it's awesome to be able to see people like yourself who are not only able to create your own I guess you're essentially able to create your own content out of that, but you can do something that you enjoy and be really good at it and show that to other people as well, and then help other people to do the same. It's awesome, man.
It's a lot of big developers should really learn from these, because it's a small indie team, right? And,
it's an indie team. Yeah,
and large developers, they do not listen to the community. They tell them, this is what you guys want. Whereas these indie developers, you're giving their game life, and Games Done Quick. Every single game developer, if they make a game, they should support this. Honestly, every game, because this is the community it's not just today, tomorrow. This is like a community that's going to keep your game alive for years and years and years. And I kind of want to go over that, the idea that the Games Done, not just Games Done Quick, but other speedrunning communities are giving games life that they wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, I think it's great that this developer's actually supporting his community, and I can only imagine from his perspective what he's thinking. All right, I guess is there anything anyone else
I just wanted to add to what you were saying. I think it's just a good idea if you're developing games to cater towards speedrunners, make it accessible for speedrunning, because it keeps your game alive that much longer. Because
Yeah.
if your game ends up being fun for speedrunning, like I know Celeste was designed with speedrunning in mind.
Yeah,
It came out a few years ago, and because during development everything was designed with speedrunning in mind, people are going to play that game forever, and it's just going to be hugely popular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wanted to add on about Celeste. So Celeste is, unfortunately, I never really became a master at it, and I haven't even completed the levels, even though I completed the main game. Celeste is an absolutely lovely game, and I think what also made it so big is that it's such a very inclusive community, and the story as well. So many people can relate to this story. If anyone watching hasn't played Celeste, play it. I almost welled up at the end because it's just really, really, it really strikes that nerve. It's really emotional, and it's very accessible as well. And actually, with Celeste, the speedrunning community meant so much to them. They've actually added names of some prominent speedrunners in their credits.
Wow, that's
Credits.
incredible.
So I only found that out recently, but I thought that was incredible. But yeah, I think with the larger developers, I think indie developers are, I guess, a lot. You'll find them interacting a lot more with speedrun communities than larger developers, because I think larger developers have got like too much more to worry about, I guess, in terms of like in the kind of grand scheme of things, and B, their game, and I hate to be blunt about this, probably gets more support from the community that it was designed for. So first person shooters, you're probably not going to see too like any devs reacting with that. They'll probably cater to the competitive stuff, adding loot boxes, adding all this stuff, microtransactions, all that jazz. Whereas with the indie ones, with not that stuff not in mind, I think you'll see that happen a bit more, and it would be cool to see a little bit more interaction. But the community can really do a lot kind of on their own. I mean, and also I think a notorious one actually is Rockstar is notorious for continuously breaking their games, and freaking the runners for Grand Theft Auto 5 have found ways to try and hard go back to an old patch. The new one just broke certain things.
Oh, right.
And Rockstar support's notoriously, I mean, if any of you watch Dark Viper AU, you'll know how bad Rockstar support is. Yeah, those are my 2 cents on that point there.
Yeah. I was just gonna add a couple of things. Firstly, that there's definitely been games like that. One first thing that comes to mind when you say that is Minecraft, actually, because I know one thing that had been around for a while was Minecraft speedruns that were set for specific patches of the game. Like the 1.1 patch or 1.2 patches. All of these, as the game sort of developed in that speedrunning community, so came about. People just loved being able to get into such a widely RNG game and then just try to find ways to beat it as quick as possible. And with such a big game like Minecraft, I think it's been really awesome to see that they have that level of accessibility, like the fact that you're able to upload a previous version of Minecraft, right? You can make a speed run or even just play the game normally, right? But you can essentially show that to other people and you can build a community out of that. And there's definitely people who are in that community in the Minecraft scene. But also, as the game itself has progressed, it's been able to keep some of that in mind. I think that Minecraft has been a bit special in the sense they've worked on patching some things that did get abused within the speedrunning community, but other things have been left in, and new things have been discovered as other patches came out. Like a simple example is one of the new strats, which is getting to the Nether as quick as possible to be able to trade with the piglins in there, so that you can get ender pearls, so you can use those to get to the ender dragon, find the end, rather than having to farm endermen like you used to, because none of that was available in previous patches, and the fact that communities are working out these things and finding new strategies as the games evolve, I think that's something that will also help to continue this growth of speedrunning and keep it in a healthy direction.
One thing go ahead.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, one thing I will add about patches and stuff and some people's perspectives and devs patching out certain things. I've heard stories about that. There was one very notable skip in Super Meat Boy Forever where you can use a black hole and blast out diagonally up this way, and use that to actually skip more than half the level because they didn't actually put a ceiling in there. And when the dev discovered it, he said he's swallowed his pride to patch that out of respect for the speedrunning community. So he's actually explicitly told us that, and we're very grateful because his mentality is like someone playing it casually wouldn't really figure this out, so it won't really like completely blow the experience out of the water for them. So I'm gonna swallow my pride there, as I said earlier, and just like keep it in there for the sake of you guys, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Aw," you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's actually people though. I've heard stories of devs who've seen their game run at GDQ, saw how it's being exploited, and then after the run finished,
Yeah.
immediately patched it out.
That's
And it's just like, I mean, they can do what they want at the end of the day, but it's just like,
it's
Yeah.
kind of, well,
Yeah.
it's wrong at the same time. No, like
It's
it's
yeah.
wrong
I,
because
I
I think, yeah, I
If-
was gonna go along with Ramsey and say I think that not they in a sense they do have some right, but it's more so that everybody has their own opinion, and I guess when you have the influence of being a developer, then you ultimately will get to make that choice, and in its own way it'll show, because if a developer of a game decides to do that and then loses their community because they've done that, then it's only by their own fault,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so even though because everybody's different, and so some developers may feel very hurt by seeing their game exploited, and they may feel like I wanted to create this masterpiece, and now in my opinion it seems like it's being stomped over by these other people who are finding ways to manipulate it. I can definitely see that side of the argument. So in terms of it being wrong, I don't think it's really fair to say, even though especially for those in the speedrunning community, they may feel like that. But one thing I did actually want to ask, and I think this is a very open question I'd like to ask everybody, but where do you see, well, I guess firstly, where have you seen the speedrunning communities that you're in develop over the last couple of years during this hard time? But also, where do you hope, or where do you think that speedrunning will end up over the next few years?
It's a very broad question there, and I think speedrunning is very fluid, and just like there's like, I guess, the most popular thing in terms of trending stuff on YouTube and trending stuff on Twitch, there's always going to be an element of speedrun things that's trending. Like if you go to the most popular games being currently run at speedrun.com, and I'll quickly go there now. So I remember for a while Celeste was actually at the top. And then for a while, it was, then Minecraft absolutely exploded in popularity. But if you look here, sort by most active, and active community just means someone who's, I guess, submitted the run in the past 30 days. So it's still subjective. I haven't even heard of this game before. POU? I don't know what that is. And then I don't know what game that is. I think it must be a meme game.
I think it might be on Steam.
No, it's a mobile game, it looks like.
That's probably where it's going. Mobile gaming.
No, it's just an example, because I feel like don't think that's where it's going. But second next one is 5 Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Minecraft is third, followed by Mario 64. You'll always find Mario 64 in the top.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of like where it's going, I guess where I'd like to see it, I guess from my perspective. So for games that have been out for a long time, there really, unfortunately, won't be kind of too much more to discover. The community comes from the friendly competition, I think. So seeing new ones join, encouraging them, always being there to talk about a game that you love, and organize little community events here and there. For Super Meat Boy Forever specifically, I think the community's kind of plateaued out a little bit. Obviously, the more people we get in there and that are involved, the better. But I think we're content with like the amount of people. Like I say, it's not like I'm constantly seeking to grow the community and all that stuff. It's kind of like a nice little home I come to, and anyone's welcome sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I'm obviously more than happy for people to join, but I feel like people will just kind of keep chipping away at finding things when they play the game, and who knows, the next big breakthrough might come through sooner or later. But I mean, in terms of where it's headed as a whole, I don't really have a specific answer for that, because I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not too sure myself. I mean, as I said before, games are going to keep being released for people to play until a freaking meteor crashes into the earth and we all die, or we all choke on our own carbon dioxide,
Mm.
or the inevitable heat death of the universe occurs. One of those three doomsday scenarios. I can list more, but I don't want to bring this conversation down. But as long as there's games being released, there will always people there who are going to be speedrun it. And I really don't think there will never really be a community that fully like implodes and dies, because there's always going to be at least one person, I think, that plays a game, loves it, is going to keep playing it, and find stuff. People speedrun games on their own and just are the world record holder in their own game because in the game they found because no one else is playing it. And people have submitted runs to GDQ where they're the only player running it. I have the world record and they got the game into GDQ, for example. So, in terms of what the newest trends will be, in terms of what other games will suddenly explode in popularity like Minecraft did, that's yet to be found out. But I feel like we're not going away. Speedrunning's not going away. It's going to keep. And, you know, as perspective, I think I heard that a few of the people at GDQ think we're not going to top this year. No way. We're not going to top this year. We raised $3 billion this year. First time we ever did. That was back in 2019. And they've just kept topping it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, like I said, trends, I'll be interested to ride that out and see where the popularity is. But in terms of like general interest, I don't think we're going anywhere.
Yeah. Personally, as a viewer, the kind of direction I'd like to see it go is I think Bernie was mentioning it the other day. I'd like to see more of the run kind of stuff, like the
races.
The races. Sorry, not the runs. Like
There's already a huge community for them, but yeah.
I think you could even just do a separate thing to your normal speedruns thing where you do like a full day stream, or it's just a channel dedicated to that kind of thing. That's kind of something for the future where I would like to see speedruns push, because you know I kind of like the idea of like a bunch of like I like seeing people kind of fuck up at the same time, right? Like when people are doing speed runs and seeing how they adapt to the speed run. Like you'll see videos where they're like, oh shit, I messed that up and I've lost like 30 seconds, so I have to do this thing because it's going to take too long to correct it to do that. And when you have like a bunch of people racing, you know, I kind of want to see that direction grow a bit more, because I also feel like that adds conversation and improves speedruns in general, because those parties start communicating about what they did, and after the game they chat a bit more. So I'd like to see that part grow a bit more. What about you guys?
When I was talking about that the other day, I more just meant like, because there are huge communities for races. Everyone who runs a game, they love to race them. But I just meant more at GDQ specifically. I'd like to see more races, because then you get more more perspectives of the same run. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, one thing is, you know, I think that they have been starting to do that with some games where it's accessible for them to do that. Super Mario is certainly one. Like, you know, certain well-known runners like Grand Pooh Bear, he's been doing that with some of the other runners where, you know, sometimes with GDQ, they'll do a race section where they'll have some of the best speed runners competing against one another. And they'll have them all. They'll show all the different perspectives. They've done the same with Pokemon. One thing I actually I quite like, which I think is sort of targeting where you'd like to see it go in the future, Zamega, which is there's a few different streamers who've been doing it, but notably Shenanigans and 360 Chrism. They've essentially been doing these sort of competitions where they'll pick a Pokemon game, such as Pokemon Emerald, and then they'll set rules. Because with the emulators that they have, you can set a number of rules into the game, such as, you know, every encounter is randomized, every place you go to is randomized, or every like move that you use is randomized, and things like that. Different ways to manipulate the game, and the ultimate goal is sort of the same, like either, you know, complete all the gym leaders and beat the Elite Four, or, you know, catch all the Pokemon, or even they've done things where they'll have like a grid of all the Pokemon that are possible to catch, and they have to aim to get from one side of the board to the other in a straight line by catching,
like bingo,
well, not in
yeah.
a straight line, but in a line by catching all the different Pokemon. And so they have to go through the game, essentially find all these different Pokemon through random encounters, and then through that plan out a route in on live in order to beat their opponent. And so that might be, so I think that'd be something I'd also like to see in the future, because that's something I've watched a fair bit. And even though some, with Pokemon specifically, those runs are typically very, very long, but I think with a lot of other games, you could implement that. And I definitely see that happening in the future where people will want to compete, because it's sort of like Ramsey said, like there's always going to be that community. And this is a great way to work together, because not only are you building the general skills of how to speedrun, but you're also working on other skills like problem solving skills and memory skills. And you're also working on how to best yourself against another person, you know, in time. And also, like you said, people will make mistakes, and it's hilarious sometimes when, you know, like one person is trying to find this Pokemon and he can't find it, and he's so frustrated. And the reason is because the one place where he was fishing before, he was like, oh, there's not going to be anything important here, I'm just not going to worry about it and move on. And then after, they end up losing the race because they didn't realize they actually needed that one Pokemon that was there, but they had no way to know. So, and it's hilarious to see. There's lots of things like that, and I'd love to see that happen too, I think.
I think I will add the biggest barrier for that is that I know of 360 Chris and shenanigans. Fun story, I shared an Uber with him from the airport to GDQ in 2019. Nice guy.
Nice.
They've been playing Pokemon for thousands of hours. So the only time you'll get races of those calibers when you get two people and that are fair, or two people of equal or similar experience at each other. And the biggest obstacle here in Australia is that, you know, when you're trying to organize races across the globe, time zones are one thing to consider, as well as internet connection. And they're often going to be, it's not going to be like GDQ quality, because we don't have like the resources to do it, where people, obviously some people also stream full time and do the sport production stuff, I guess more dedicated than others. But it's a lot to organize. And I think it's where people kind of like doing speedruns kind of on their own, because they have the community they can speak to whenever they're awake and whatnot, and they can just focus building on their own time. So this is why I think races and those kinds of things might be difficult to see more frequently. If in terms of community engagement, yeah, that would be wonderful. But I think unless, I don't know, a good, fantastic tool comes out where things can be absolutely seamless and not break down, not need to worry about certain things. It might, I don't want to like discourage you and say it won't happen, but I don't. Again, this is just my 2 cents, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't think it'll suddenly blow up and be like the next big thing. But at the same time, in terms of community engagement and for fun, yeah, it would be cool to see, I guess, a few more happen. In terms of large scale, I don't think we're probably not going to see anything that's like absolutely immaculate quality outside of major marathons like GameStar Quick and ESA.
Yeah. We definitely need our internet to improve for anything like that to happen. Hopefully with Starlink. We were talking about Starlink last week, so, you know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Actually, it's something that I thought about. That could be quite interesting to ask. Is like, do you see any possibility of a future where people are able to speedrun games in VR? Just because we were talking about VR and AR on our podcast last week, and sort of how the technology is developed and where it might go into the future. So,
I'm sure people already
seeing
do.
as it's well, yes, most certainly. But I mean, like, you know, do you see that side of things growing? Because I think that would be same with mobile games. Seeing as, you know, there's definitely been a big growth in mobile game speedrunning happening. What do you think about VR speedrunning and that sort of becoming another platform?
So Glitchy is actually already correct. There are already actually a few VR speedruns happening, and check out. So it's Summer Games Done Quick 2020, which is the first event run online due to COVID. Obviously, the sad part is that no one could actually go to the venue and have fun together at the hotel. But setups are allowed to be streamed that wouldn't be practical to bring to the actual hall. So someone speedran Half-Life Alyx, And
course, yeah.
one of the
Yes,
clips,
I do remember.
yeah,
seeing
one
that,
of the
actually.
clips from that speed run is like one of the most viewed of the week. It's like speed running, walking, climbing, and the guys just like, I'll just briefly reenact it here, like up, down, going down, like doing a soldier crawl for a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So like, actually physically moving the body and like to get all these skips and whatnot. And people were just like, you're physically bringing an element to that speed run there. In terms of where it is for the future, again, about accessibility and I guess the caliber of speed games that are built for VR. Not all of them will be suitable for speedruns, most likely. You'll
Yeah.
probably be seeing a lot more score-based games in VR. We already have with Beat Saber.
Yeah.
So it's still, it's a lot more accessible than it was 5 years ago, VR. But at the same time, it is still in a developing phase in terms of what games are hits, what games are misses, what people are latching onto, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I personally, again, not to discourage, I don't see it becoming the main avenue of speedrunning just purely because of accessibility and how the platform's actually built. In terms of mobile
Yeah.
games, again, there are actually a few mobile games that are speedrun already, and I know the mobile gaming market is big in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that a few first-person shooters, and I think COD Mobile was big in China, and there's like a PUBG clone that was big in India, I think.
Yeah.
But that's all first-person shooter. I don't know enough about the mobile gaming thing to make accurate predictions. Right now, it's definitely there, but not as pronounced as gaming on physical, like gaming console hardware or PC games is. Again, I could be wrong, and something could completely explode as well. But also, the lack of manipulation and how small a phone screen is. Trying to speed on a platformer on this thing
Yeah.
would be a little bit like, it's the screen is small. You'd be going like, it's pretend it's just a screen. It's not really much room to move around. But again, that could change. So
Yeah.
those are my 2 cents on that. Yeah.
Well, I can add a bit to that because, well, firstly, PUBG hasn't just been, PUBG itself hasn't been just big throughout India. It's actually been quite big throughout a lot of the Asian countries as well.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I know that because my girlfriend, she lives over in Vietnam. She's just moved to Malaysia a couple of days ago, but she has been getting me to play PUBG on mobile with her because it's the game that she really loves. And it's been really funny for me because I ever play gun games unless it's with these guys. Bit of a change, but when I first got into it, I was like, my God, there is so much here. It was crazy to take in, like a massive player base. There's so much game content, and yeah, like you said, the technology is definitely a limiting factor, but I can only see improvements being made on that. That's sort of why I feel more optimistic because I don't really see an area where the technology moves behind. And when it comes to other mobile games, I think with speedrunning, it's very new because first of all, being able to speedrun games on PC or on consoles is, like you said, way more accessible, and that has a major influence on whether games are successful in the speedrunning scene. But when it comes to mobile games, their popularity has grown quite a lot over the last several years. Especially when it comes to the competitive scene. Like I got into Clash of Clans like basically in the beginning, and so I remember watching the YouTubers who were essentially they were making videos on this game and even starting to stream when streaming became a more popularized thing. They're starting to stream the game, and that massively drove the popularity of the game, even though it's not really something that you can speedrun. And I'm quite sure that there are speedruns of Clash of Clans for like specific categories, but I can see a future where make games more accessible for the speedrunning community in order, because it's a market first of all, but it's also something where as the generation develops, as we have it, essentially the children who are growing up in these days, they're going to be playing a lot more mobile games than we ever did growing up. And so they're going to want a mobile community. And, I feel very optimistic about it. I think that it's just something that needs more time to develop, similar to our other platforms. But I think the mobile games will be quite successful when it comes to speedrunning, just because I think it's in some ways going to be more accessible in the future than a computer.
It's kind of what we
I
talked
think a
about last week as well.
Yeah, I think a problem with the mobile games is, I know there's obviously exceptions, but the majority of them are microtransaction heavy and they're designed to go forever.
Yeah.
And it'll be
Yeah.
just pay to win your speedrun type thing. But there's obviously exceptions.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah.
Ed?
Well, it's just like it's going to be a case of like of what Ramsey mentioned, and we were talking about it last week with like when they figure out how to make control of a game,
yeah.
like not like some people might prefer like, but as soon as we eliminate, you know, maybe when neural chip or a neural cap is probably going to be more likely, but once that's
attach a controller.
yeah, or you attach a controller to the phone. People are already starting to do that, and it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, as soon as that's done, maybe. But the issue right now is it's not accessibility, it's quality of the game.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the developers indie developers are the ones who will probably invent the games that work for this kind of thing. Yeah. Unless anyone has any more for that one, I just want to probably ask a bit about the games done quick this week. Well, last week, sorry.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to move on. Yeah, I think we've said. I think just one add there. Yeah, I guess we will never really know. I guess, but I think the type of game, you know, the mobile games are more towards, you know, keep you hooked, pay to keep playing, sort of thing. So I think it'll be hard to find a speedrunning market in that. I think it caters towards what I guess people who want a speedrun game look for in terms of accessibility, how easy it is to pick up, and I guess the actual element of the game itself. I mean, you're not going to see. There might be a Candy Crush speedrun. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm curious. Is there actually a
10,000 levels?
I don't know, to be honest.
yeah, here we are, Candy Crush Saga. What we got here? They got certain episodes, and even it's actually on PC as well. So it's like, and that for one episode is what 5 minutes and 8 seconds. So segmented. So, but it's not a very large community here. So again, who knows? But yeah, happy to move on to your next question, Czar.
Yeah. So I just want to go over you know, you were heavily involved obviously last week with as a volunteer, you were saying for the games done quick last week.
Yeah.
I kind of do you want to talk about that at all?
I'd love to. So as I mentioned earlier, I put in an application to be a host for Games Done Quick. You got to put in an audition video, and out of the just over 100 odd people who put in their application, I was one of 24 to be selected. So I'd been on part of the Discord server. We all get invited to a private Discord server for a few months where we kind of mingle a bit and start getting prepared. And I'd received a lot of advice and helpful hints from a lot of other people who'd previously hosted and people in the community and whatnot. The event was a resounding success. I must admit, my first time hosting, equal parts excited, nervous, and I was actually so internally stressed. My temperature peaked at nearly 38 degrees. I gave myself a fever because I was so stressed.
Wow.
I had to dip my head in cold water at the end of my first shift and take a couple Panadols and get a wet towel and go like this, because I was just like, 100,000 people are listening to what you're saying right now.
It's
And,
kind
you
of
know, I knew that I wouldn't do anything completely stupid. I mean, no one really does. Everyone here is very sensible, and it's very professional. But the fact that 100,000 people were listening to me, it's the largest audience I've ever spoken in front of. Well, virtually, it's just like.
One thing is like, it's gonna be, you know, it's one of the biggest audiences that most people will ever speak. Like, you know, I think most people will be lucky to talk in front of like 1,000 people or 2,000 people in their lifetime, let alone 100,000. That's a small country even.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think, and not to mention that you can do that, you know, because it's so accessible. And yeah, congrats to you, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I missed it. I was hoping to be able to watch it, but I didn't get time. You'll have to let us know when you were out so we can listen out for it.
I'll send you a few of the videos of the things I hosted. It was definitely a lot of fun, and having everyone else in the host, we call ourselves the host fam, so supportive, and even when little mistakes are made, like they're quick to just kindly correct you or say, hey, just keep an eye on this, or we actually set up a buddy system where people would help out first time hosts, and this one other host, I don't know why she did this. She is so kind. She stayed up until like it was 6 a.m. her time in the States, just so she could like stick
Oh
by
my
with
God.
me and be there for any questions I had during my first host shift. And just like, wow, these people are absolutely incredible. Like, and in terms of how the event went on a whole, obviously we've been doing it online. It's well, not we've, because I will clarify, not actually representing GDQ. I'm involved as a volunteer, involved in the community, not part of the committee or anything. So just putting that out there. But just from my experience, everyone, they've been doing the events online for a couple of years now, and obviously actual in-person GDQs are a blast. There's so much fun. It's the most fun I've ever had at a gaming event. It's like a mini speedrunning convention. There's like arcade cabinets, pinball machines, other things you can do, tabletop areas. Hotel is at your disposal, and it's often near a few other things you can do outside the hotel as well, like malls and amusement parks and whatnot. But the online ones, it's become more refined as the more it's happened. So more tech check processes have kind of happened. So it was incredibly smooth. It barely skipped the beat, if at all. And overall, and this is the wildest part, the previous donation record, I think, was at $3,164,000, and that was set at AGDQ 2020, the last in-person event. This year, it was absolutely smashed by $300,000, and 3.4 million US dollars was raised for Prevent Cancer Foundation. And one of the founders, like I said that, each year we think, well, one of the staff members said, we're not going to top this. And yet everyone just keeps getting on board. The event just keeps getting more refined, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's all in the name of a good cause. And that's what really makes my heart warm, because, we're all doing this for the sake of the greater good, for something that's bigger than us. And the fact that we can do it by showing off the awesome games that we play is just very heartwarming. So, yeah.
Yeah, most certainly. I think that's probably one of the biggest things I love about GDQ and what they do all across, is the fact that not only are like the different communities getting together to show off their skills and sort of prove in a sense that they're some of the best at what they do for these games, why they're allowed to, or why they can be there and showcase it in the first place, but also the fact that they work together to create something that is ultimately helping the world. It's amazing to see. And I've followed, I think, GDQ since, I think maybe around the same as you, 2014, 2015, started watching them. And it's pretty much every time I'm watching, I just love going through all the different videos and seeing how, like, all the different things that people say, all the different speedrunners that go and show their stuff, the hosts, all the, quirky little things that they bring into it as well. It's awesome. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see these things coming out of the gaming community. I think that it's probably one of the most beautiful things that has come out of gaming. It's the fact that we can build this community together and then work together to create something for the benefit of everyone. And especially for those who need it most.
100%. I mean, my mom's 2 times cancer survivor, so the cause, and her most recent bout being in 2019, so the cause especially means personally a lot to me. So being able to be a part of that, and it's, like you said, it's honestly it's beautiful, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish we could get more big kind of events on, doing something similar. Like, I watch a lot of esports. I know you'd said you're all pretty big into Overwatch. It would be good to see if those ones did, like, during their world finals, like something like this. The amount of support they could give.
Yeah, I actually might mention that. The thing is, though, I think as soon as a big corporation that tries to do something like that, it loses. I don't want to say it loses its charm. It risks losing its charm. So I think that's why it's so awesome that Games Done Quick is wholly run by the people who really, love speedrunning and know exactly what they want to get out of an event and what people are looking for, kind of thing. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that would it be fantastic, but it would be very hard for a large corporation to see eye to eye with what our vision currently is, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And again, who knows? Who knows where that's going to go? It would be nice to see more large scale events, but they're also a logistical nightmare.
Oh,
and,
100%.
so,
Yeah.
again, not saying it's not possible. Would love to see it happen more. But I don't see anything topping like Games Done Quick in terms of caliber of event for. I don't want to say forever. Right now, it feels like forever. Like for right now, it's just like they're like the baseline of like, you know how you have in in like this is a really bad comparison, but like you have Overwatch, with Overwatch you have like the open division and the contenders and stuff. You'll have all those like lower tier kind of events. When I say lower tier, not like the caliber of
I get it.
speedrunners,
Yeah.
because the same speedrunners often apply for multiple smaller events. People run their own like small events and stuff. But in terms of like Premier, nothing at the moment, in my personal opinion, can top Games Done Quick. And I don't want to say probably never will, but right now it's kind of looking at that because people need to remember how much goes into this,
Yeah.
how long they've been at it, and I do want to see, I guess, more happen, I guess, in terms of large scale events, but we'll have to wait and see. And in the meantime, I'm not trying to self promote. Keep supporting Games So Quick. I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I honestly, I kind of hope that Games Done Quick becomes the one in that sense. I hope that they ultimately are able to become the big corporation that is to push those boundaries, not in the sense of being the corporation, but essentially being the community that grew out of nothing to become this, essentially multi-million-dollar raising organization.
They kind of already have.
Yeah.
Yes, most
there's
certainly.
no-
That's what I mean. Like
ridiculous.
it's been only a few years. Like if you think about it, right? Like how long have video games, been around for? And then how much of that time has GDQ been around for? Like I totally see this as such an infancy stage. That's why I guess maybe I'm just optimistic in general as a person, but I really have a lot of hope for not only the speedrunning scene, but for the communities.
I
Because
hope.
like you said, as long as their games are out, as long as people keep making games that you want to complete quickly, there's going to be those who want to do it.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing more and more adoption. Like the number for donations kind of reflects that. People are making less money because of obviously the COVID thing, and there was probably numbers wise there were probably a lot more people watching this time around. So we're definitely yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What were the numbers like at all? Do you know?
I do, and strangely enough, because I was actually tagged in a tweet by a esports charts Twitter account. I was absolutely blown away by that. But here we are. So, peak viewers was 156,000 viewers. We had average viewers over the week was almost 90,000. 14 million hours watched. Those are the main perspectives there, and there's also quite a bit. Obviously, it gets restreamed in certain countries, like there's a France restream, German restream, Spanish restream, Japanese restream. So obviously the viewership's like 10% of the other ones, but still people in other countries are watching.
Right.
So overall, it totaled up to I think that took it all the viewers as well as. And then I got tagged in a tweet below it saying, "Following made a big contribution to the event and the viewers." And there was a lot of people involved in this event, and I was one of the people that was tagged in the tweet. And I'm just like, wow, what the heck?
That's
To
awesome.
be tagged by an esports account saying I made a big contribution to 100,000 viewers, just I'm not special. I was very humble. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, they say that, man. Like, like everybody else, what you've done is totally valid, and hey, it goes to show because I'm sure that those people who are watching were able to get all the more out of it because you were there. Everybody plays their own part, so give yourself more credit, man. 100%.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely like nowhere near done being involved in Games Done Quick and speedrunning in general. So I'll be around for a long time.
Get it on, man.
I just have one interesting question. You might not know this.
Yep.
You were saying it was being streamed to other countries and stuff. Are they looking into the, or have they already looked into the potential of doing translation live streams from like other countries? Because I know that's a massive thing with League of Legends. They can boast the fact that they stream to what, like 54 different languages while they're doing the stream, and that's how they get the numbers. Is that something? Have you heard anything about like that as an idea, or?
So when I say restream, what happens is that a local team in each country has permission to restream the event and then add they actually live translate.
Okay, that's cool.
So
Wow.
that's already happening. I probably should have clarified that a bit earlier. They do have that. So it's not like they have professional production teams in each country.
Yeah.
It's all done in the States, but they obviously give permission and they work with the other restream communities to have the event properly restreamed. So what people do is people who are fluent in English or whatever language live translate. I must say, when looking back on one of the runs I commentated in SGDQ 2021 with a Japanese runner, so I was commentating for him because he couldn't commentate in English. Seeing the Japanese commentator and I was translating some of the comments was quite interesting, and it was good to see them all kind of cheering him on and cheering us on. So, in terms of international appeal, I guess we'll find out. I mean, I think for the foreseeable future, because it's a registered organization in the States, it'll probably be happening in the States for the foreseeable future. And luckily, because it's online now, for the foreseeable future, it's online. Anyone can kind of like submit a run and be involved. Although, funnily enough, I believe I was the only host from Australia this year. Everyone else is in the States.
Right.
When it goes back,
Represent.
when it goes back to in person, we do not know when that's going to happen. But I am going to hazard a guess. Do not take my word for this. We'll probably see some sort of hybrid event in the future where we have the in-person, stage and people going to the event and whatnot. But we also have people who tune in from, overseas and stuff if they can't make it. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out, I guess.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
That's like that whole thing of like cross culture, like just hearing about like a Japanese guy doing his stream, and that I love that. That's awesome because that means everyone gets to experience what they probably wouldn't be able to otherwise.
100%.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm just wondering if there's anything else we really. Well, I guess we can go back just to what we're talking about with this Games Done Quick. Was there any highlights for anyone? I actually didn't get it. I haven't had a chance to watch myself, sadly. I was planning to. I really tried to set aside some time, just didn't get any. Does anyone want to have any highlights from this Games Done Quick?
I haven't actually watched too much of it. I did just see a blindfolded Sekiro, which was really cool.
That was good. That was really good.
But I haven't actually had a chance to rewatch much of it. How much of the show did you end up watching, Ramsey? Like, I'm guessing you watched a lot.
Too much. Because I was fully, well, actually I shouldn't say too much, but I watched probably probably the most I've watched it because obviously being this involved in the event and wanting to cheer on my other host friends and stuff and just wanting to just vibe out to it. I watched a lot of it. My personal highlights, the whole event is a highlight to me, but I'm a big fan of the Awful Block, and it's a dedicated block of games near, like, it's usually early morning hours in the US that are considered kind of janky or awful, but that's what makes them so funny. I had a blast watching that. A game called Three Dirty Dwarfs I think it was on the Genesis, run by Liz Starr, and Liz Starr is actually she's on the games committee, but she also has a thing where on her stream she's trying to complete every single Sega Genesis / Mega Drive game, and she's found some absolute like weird games that are hilarious. Like the cutscenes in that game were absolutely hilarious, and the gameplay was really, she's really good at what she does. Portal 2 is added in as a bonus run by M Sushi, and I think it's with no Out of Bounds. He carried that all by himself. His commentary was immaculate. It was just a one-man show. It was so entertaining, and his gameplay also was on point. There are a few others as well. The Rocket League showcase and the Stepmania showcase were two showcases that I also really enjoyed. Stepmania showcase was just complete eye candy. Like you could not tell what's going on around the screen because it had so many filters that warped where the arrows were going. But he had his own like floor mat and just using his feet and just able to do all this. And he surprises at the end saying, "This is a 20 difficulty, but you know what? I'm gonna do 21." And the commentators are like, "What? This has never been done before. Are you are you out of your mind?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he passes us on first time showing anyone.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, the showcases are actually only recent. So that was only added from AGDQ 2020, where they're letting people in where it's not necessarily a speed game, but it's showing off a lot of skill. So in AGDQ 2020, we had Clone Hero, we've had Dance Rush Stardom, My Finale, a lot of rhythm-based games. But in a way, it's kind of like these guys are completing, or these people are completing all these levels that would take us hours and hours to do, or we couldn't do it. So in a way, it kind of is showcasing the completion of all these levels that would take you right now hours to even figure out how to do. So, but yeah, the showcases are always a highlight for me. There's probably so many others that I'm forgetting, but it's just all beautiful. It was all great showcases. Everyone was really good. I also have a soft spot for all the games that I hosted for. I'm totally biased there, not because I want you all to check out my host shifts, but no, it was great. Very, very comfy runs. Very great people involved, and especially sometimes when the game's a bit, I don't want to say slow, but where sometimes it needs the game's more fun with, I guess, commentators and pay people who kind of add in good commentary and keep the banter going. Those ones are also really comfy and fun to watch as well. So I hosted for one of those, and it was a lot of fun. So it was. Those are the main ones, but the whole event was a highlight for me personally, and can't wait for the next one. Only about 5-6 months away.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, awesome.
Definitely going to try and tune in. And I'm probably going to go back and watch, like, with speedruns, I'll watch a lot of the highlights. Watching live it's kind of I don't do it for many things. Even though I'm streaming, it's something I'm starting to get on top of, but the main things I only watch are like esport events, like, I watch League of Legends. It's been an addiction for 10 years, so. What about you, Miguel?
Well, League of Legends even has speedruns now, so that's another thing, which is pretty hilarious.
You're fucking joking, right? Sorry, I'm swearing.
No, actually, 100%. No, there's actually, I think there's two main categories for speedrunning at the moment. One which is
quickest game.
Essentially quickest victory screen in single player ARAM, and then there's one for a rank climb. There's also one for
rank 4.
Quickest completion of Summoner's Rift with a single character. So there's a couple of those which are in the community at the moment, and it's incredible to see like what they do with the strats, because it's things like players would never ever think to do something like that in a real game, just because of how different the play style is. Right, they're essentially totally abusing mechanics within the game to finish as quick as possible. Right, and it's totally unrealistic because they have to essentially do it against a bot, because if you tried to do that against a player, it would be biased either way, because you could say like, oh, the player let you to do that. But I think one category
player
that does do that is a teleport category, where it's quickest first death in a ranked match. I think that's another speed run. So essentially they have like a team where they essentially have like a full team that is like speeds you straight to the middle of the map as fast as possible so it can die to the tower instantly. And it's crazy. It sounds ridiculous because it's completely against anything that the game is about. But
I'm going to check this out.
Speedruns of it.
I'll check it out another time.
Speaking of meme categories, that might be an interesting category for a game that might not be, I guess, best speed game, but people still do it. Have you heard of nipple percent in Super Mario Odyssey?
Yes, I have heard of nipple percent.
You got to get enough money to buy the outfit where Mario's just wearing some board shorts and showing no shirt. And as soon as you do that and see his nipples, that's nipple percent.
Yeah, it's I
Oh,
love things like that,
Jesus.
dude. It is actually hilarious, man. I'm pretty sure I've seen I can't remember the runner who did it, but I've seen a run of that myself, and it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Pretty funny, isn't
And
it?
yeah, it is, and it's great that like you can do that too because it adds more character to both the game and the community. 100%, 100%.
I'd show it, but we might get
Sometimes
banned.
people get bored of this old run, and they just come up
Yeah.
with a new run to make it interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
about 5 hot dogs in Kirby's air ride?
I gotta have a look. I'm looking all these
Oh,
up.
dude.
5
Yep.
hot dogs. Dude, Air Ride was that was a good. I think it was a good game. I don't know if I like have a biased opinion. I really enjoyed Kirby Air Ride. It's like it's button and joystick. That's all you had. Like A, and it was the best game ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
our-
that's the coolest thing too. So many games have like really, really simple controls, but the mechanics that you can do with those controls is essentially,
Hmm.
Yeah, it
infinite
goes
in a
back
lot
to
of ways.
The Mario Bros. You got
It certainly
D-pad
does.
and A and B, and
That's
right.
it. Yeah, yeah.
some of the
That's all you
most
had.
skill-based
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I think it's probably a pretty good place to finish off. Does anyone want to do you want to shout out your stuff at all, Ramsey?
Yes. I do not stream as often as I should, but if you want to check out my stream, twitch.tv/sandshark with 8 as the last day. So SANDSH8RK. I think my name's in the stream title. So check me out there. Might get back into doing some more speedrun, just casual game stuff, just for fun. I also, on a non-speedrunning notes, I'm gonna start taking my music content creation a bit more seriously. You see my guitar probably sitting there.
I did. I've been looking at it all stream.
Yeah, I looked
You've
a
seen-
few times.
You seen that one? You should like this one. One of one.
I've been honestly like every time you move, I'm just like.
That's I don't know if any of you are metalheads, but this is one of 1,000 guitar.
Wow.
Limited edition.
Could you bring it like I would ask actually.
Okay,
I'll
I'll
do that
bring it.
off.
Miguel would
I'll bring one.
Miguel would know a bit better than I don't know. Do you
Yeah.
play any instruments, Bernie? I'm not sure. I don't.
When I was a kid, I played the piano. That's about it.
Yeah, I wish I
Yeah.
played piano.
I'm actually a mad guitarist myself. Classically trained guitarist. I've been playing for getting close to 15 years now.
You're probably
So-
better. You're probably better than I am at this point. I don't practice. Nearly enough. But this is.
Well, it's all subjective.
This is a Matt Heafy Epiphone Les Paul custom signature edition guitar. So,
Wow.
really nice. Like $1,600 new. I was
Yeah, no, that's amazing, dude.
lucky to get it secondhand for $800, which was crazy. But anyway, my YouTube channel for guitar is called Shark Guitar. Don't have a custom URL. I actually don't have the subs, but you'll find that I think in my Twitch. So be sure to sub to that if you're interested in that. And maybe I'll actually upload some more covers this year. Who knows? But you can find me on there.
certainly.
I'm also on Twitter, same handle. You can join my Discord as well if you'd like. I talk in there every now and then. But yeah, feel free to follow me if you'd like.
Yeah, awesome. Well, maybe that's something we could even do in the future. Maybe a future jam, streamer to streamer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been wanting to join a band for like 10 years now. So I'm happy. I'm open for anything, man. Anyway,
I know a
Awesome.
vocalist.
vocalist.
Yeah, metal
There you go.
vocalist.
Metal vocalist.
It's not
And
you,
not
is
on
it?
a band. No, it's not. I'll just be like, "Hey guys."
I mean,
No.
I've been working on my screams myself. I'll
Yeah,
demonstrate.
yeah.
I'll demonstrate off the stream.
Yeah, maybe probably a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure and very, very insightful conversations we've had. And I think you should all start speedrunning a game. Next time we have this podcast
yeah.
together,
That's
I want
an
you all
awesome
to
idea.
Alrighty.
let me know what your
Well,
speed.
hopefully I'll get into those Pokemon speedruns. And so,
I don't even know
hopefully,
what.
if you weren't willing to sit around for.
No, actually, you
gotta put
You're
that.
about
I'll
to
be-
drop
give it a
to
go.
4.
Yeah, do it. I will link you to Discord. You're all joining. We need more competition.
Honestly,
Sounds
let's
good,
make it.
sounds
Let's
good.
make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing the game for 20 years, so you've got some competition. But
I've got you in
Oh,
2 weeks.
yeah.
I've got
you-
some free time next week.
um,
A little
yeah,
bit.
We'll see, but I think you'll all have fun. I think that's the best way to get into speedrunning and try and be one of the best in the world. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
I think that's it from all me. That's all from me. But thank you again so much for having me on. I really had a good time.
Alrighty,
Thanks for
well,
being
Yeah,
on.
thank you for coming, man.
and I know I'll just say before I'm doing a lot of streaming myself now. I wouldn't recommend. Honestly, the RuneScape stuff. Don't look at it.
Sorry.
Don't look at it. It's shit content.
No, don't be like.
Look at
But-
it. It's not shit content.
But definitely check
The-
out.
You say don't. The more you don't look at it, the more they're gonna look
No,
at it. dude.
it's
So
it's
just
garbage
give it-
content,
Reverse
man.
psychology.
Nah.
I'm nowhere near as good as like these people can stream for 21 hours a day, like 2 million IQ. But I do want to mention I've seen Bernie starting to stream. He's trying to start his kind of speed run stuff. Well, he's trying to Splunky too. So you can
I'm
check that
playing
out.
blind,
He's
that's about it.
And,
Right, it's done.
Miguel's going to be streaming too, and we're going to have the podcast. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. I'm going to try and get on Spotify. So yeah, if you there'll be other episodes up there if you haven't seen them. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. We'll
Yes.
see you